Welcome to the Unfolding Podcast, a space where soul, synchronicity, and self-discovery meet. Together, we explore the cycles, lessons, and magic that shape our human experience. Breathe, soften, and open your heart as we journey into the wisdom waiting to unfold. Hey friends, we are back with another episode on the Unfolding Podcast. So this is episode 9. And today I am really excited because we're doing something a bit new for the viewers, for our family, our community. And we are telling a little bit of our story to you guys. You might know us as Luna and Solera. And you may know that we are definitely into awakening mind, body, soul, talking all things spirit, and talking about conversations that people don't usually delve into. So if you've been hanging with us for a few months, you know that. But today we're going on a personal level, and I'm interviewing Solera about a little bit about her life story, a little bit about her why, and how she even came to be able to do this podcast, because we all start somewhere. Even though I've known her for a very long time, since 8th grade, today I'm the interviewer and I want you guys to get to know her. She is an amazing person. She's an amazing mother. She works hard. She's a wild soul, free, feral, and amazing, sensual and raw. And in this season of life, it's been amazing to see her blossoming into the empowered speaker, thought leader, and writer that she's always been. So this is a season that Solera is in, and we're celebrating that. But to celebrate where she is now, we got to go back a little bit and remember our humble beginnings, right? So without further ado, here is Solera. I just want you to say hi real quick, and then I'll go into my first question.
Yes. Hi, everyone. First of all, beautiful intro. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I love you so much.
I love you too,
I see
girl.
you for you. I know you see me too. And in all honesty, it's a little nerve-wracking to share some deep, vulnerable things about yourself. But if I am empowering others to do that, then I need to do the same. And I want to do the same. So I'm here as a person, as myself, willing to share my story if it's going to help someone else in their journey.
That's right.
And I'm not saying I have all the answers. The answers are within you, and that's sort of what the story is about. Just to give a little intro, I basically spent most of my life, almost 40 years, listening to the voice and guidance of others, which as a child, that's more or less what we're taught, right? It's just you're still young and be a good girl, listen to your parents, do the right thing, honor everyone else. And all those things are great. But I never received the message that the voice inside you is the most important voice you will ever hear in your life. And I wish I knew this sooner. And so part of the reason we're sharing on our podcast why we're here is because we don't want someone else to have to take the long route there. And if sharing my story means that you can get there a little quicker, then that's all I care about.
I like that. Thanks for sharing that. So speaking about going back, we're going to backtrack a little bit, okay? And we have a certain amount of time with you guys. We want to hit some really core moments of Solera's life. So if I can ask you, do you mind backtracking a little bit, getting vulnerable with the audience and letting us know a little bit about, your background, your cultural background, kind of how you were raised as a child, and what systems and what things kind of built how you thought and why you began to seek outward answers before you learned how to tune within? What formulated that? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's our surroundings. So can you tell us a little bit about like what little Grace looked like? Sorry, little.
Oh, little Grace. Yes, thank you. So I'm going to try to stay on track with your question. Basically, it's this, and I think this isn't a me story. Yes, I have my own unique story, but many people can relate to this. I think a lot of people are looking for something they're not sure what they're looking for. So, little Grace was a very good girl.
And hold on, we are using
I
her real
I
name.
hate that term, by the way,
We are using her real name for this episode, if that's okay.
because this is real.
This is
Yes,
real.
this is
So
real.
this is her name, Grace. Just so
Yes,
you guys know.
this is exactly. And this is the
Mhm.
first chapter of some that we're going to do. And it's basically who are the people behind the lens and why are they doing this? I will tell you, it's not for fame. It's not for popularity. In fact, have a fear of speaking in front of people. But this calling is so strong, it can't be ignored. And I just know that if I don't let out what I need to let out to share with others, to help others on their journey, then I will die regretting this. And I know
Mhm.
it's one of the main reasons I'm here on this earth. So when I was a younger child, number one, born in Peru,
Mm.
South America, my parents had, amazing jobs, very a great, stable life over there, but they chose to leave when I was 3 years old and come to a whole new country for opportunity.
Mm.
And a lot of people can say the same thing, a lot of people who've come from other countries.
Right, right.
So, but the challenge was, and it's not just for this reason, is my parents took a big risk. They came here with 4 kids to a whole new country, left behind my dad's corporate job, their, house help, all those things to start fresh because there was terrorism, there was threat. It was not safe to be in that country.
Mm.
And they saw it as we need to make this happen. So I came here as a 3 year old, only knowing Spanish, not learning English or anything like that. And I'm not going to go into the whole detail of my story, but the point is, as a child, is I made it a goal for myself to make my parents proud. And why that was, and it was a huge burden I placed on myself. In all honesty, I've tried to live up to it my whole life, and now I don't. Now I live up to my dream, my dream. But the point is that idea that I had for myself, I didn't know how much it was going to impact my life. Because instead of following what I want, I was following what I believed my parents needed validation coming from another country to a new country, risking everything for opportunity. I needed to make sure
Right.
they knew I was going to take advantage of that opportunity.
Mm.
So it
Mm.
started there. And then, like many of us, as children, your elders in church, all the people that have an influence in your life, the way that the world has been is not to empower you, to find your voice, your gifts, to pay attention to who you are, what you're doing, those kind of things. So I never did that. I just did what I thought was right. What was
Mm.
right,
By the book.
which,
Yeah.
yes, a
Yeah.
good girl,
Yeah.
which I don't like that term because I lived that for many years,
Mhm.
and good
Mm.
girl was good in other people's eyes. I don't like good or bad. That term doesn't
It
exist.
doesn't even
It is what
exist.
it
It
is,
does.
right?
It
And
is
you
what it
know that,
is. Ooh,
right?
amen.
But I was
Hmm.
performing as a child, not even realizing that's what I was doing. And there's more to the story. That's not the core of it. But I'm gonna pause for a second
Yeah.
and ask you to help kind of redirect
No,
me to make sure we
absolutely.
stay on task.
I mean, we have time, and I just want you to continue a little bit more on your origin story, just about without, of course, while honoring your family members and always honoring, who is listening as they support us. Hi.
Yeah.
We want to honor them, but also like you said, making them proud, following the rule book, putting those expectations on yourself. What kind of unhealthy behaviors and thought patterns did that start in you? Because that's what the core wound, right? We all have a core wound that I'm not saying our parents do, but we kind of formulate through what we think they may want because we don't always get to communicate with our parents sometimes until we're older,
Right.
out of that
Right.
respect, especially you and I being, let's be real, we're immigrants, from other countries. It was like be seen and not heard. So stifling that voice and being the so-called good girl, how did that formulate a bit of a shadow of your real self, the false
Okay,
self that you were
let's
living
go
through?
there.
Does that help you a little bit?
Yeah, let's go
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So I suffered from depression many years, including in childhood,
Mm.
and I never understood why. And people around me never understood why. It was like on the outside, you have good grades, you get honor rolls. Um, I had a lot of accomplishments in my life, but they weren't my accomplishments that I necessarily wanted, if that makes sense. So I trusted authority, my parents, the adults around me in my life to guide me, and they did the best in their state of consciousness, in their point of their life where they were. And we have to admit the world has evolved a lot since the 80s.
Yeah, it
The
has.
parenting style we do now, everything's changed. But back then, my parents worked all day. I can't tell you how many times I had awards and my parents couldn't show up, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Mhm.
But again, this all boils down to not really pursuing my own desires. It was more what's accepted by my parents, what's accepted by my family and everyone else around me. And that's what I'm going to do. And guess what? I did it fucking well. Too fucking well. So
Mm.
fucking well, I tricked myself. I lost my voice because all I did was hear everything else, everyone else.
Mm.
I didn't even know I had a voice. I didn't even know that was a possibility, you know? And then I'm a young teenager.
Mm. Let's go there because that's when I
And
met you.
yes, in
Yeah.
high school. And I'm I had like adventurous dates at that point, but at that stage in my life, I was about 17. I met my ex-husband, who became my best friend first before anything. Best
Mhm.
friend.
Mhm.
We're still friends.
Yeah.
And we had an amazing marriage and all these things. But the truth is, at the end of the day, is I was a young woman. I was pregnant young, and I chose to get married because it was the right thing to do. But I knew inside of me there was a voice that said this is not the right thing to do.
Right.
And and at some point you're gonna have to decide what you're gonna do about this. But right now this feels like the right choice. But it was influenced by my parents. And I'm
Mm.
not saying it's their fault because ultimately I had a choice,
Right.
but
Right.
they basically said this is the right thing to do. And it was really more of an image thing, to be honest. It was
Yeah.
like this, you're pregnant and you didn't get married. How does this look to
Right.
people? So I had one of those like fast
Right.
marriages. And I'm not saying that my ex, wasn't meaningful. We helped each other grow in many ways in
That's what
his
it
life.
was. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
We were
Yes.
like partners in life. It was almost like, we taught each other a lot of things, but that doesn't mean I need to get married,
Right.
but I
Right.
did. And because I love him and because I love my children, I ended up having two children. I pushed aside anything that I truly desire or my thoughts, my intuition, because I knew if I listened to it, I knew it would shake up the family. I knew it meant I had to go down a path that I'm not ready to go down.
Can you pause
And
there
I ignored it.
a quick
Yes,
second?
go.
Okay. So, for the audience, you're in this marriage because I know we kind of skipped from childhood to high school and your the high school love, right? The young married woman, the young mother. I want to go back to the depression real quick. Was this depression still lingering? Did you ever deal with it? And how did that affect your marriage at that time and how you were showing up, even as a mom? Like what can you help people to understand? Because even though you're an amazing parent, I want people to know that these dark nights of the soul, is what we're going to call them, those moments that feel like they're going to shatter us, actually help formulate us. So, like you were saying, your ex was a mirror for things that you still hadn't dealt with. And he probably now knows he hasn't dealt with. How, in that time before you were healed, before you even thought of awakening, before you even thought of having your own true opinions or thinking about your own dreams, how did that depression affect you? And when was enough enough? How did it affect you in your marriage? Even though you had a loving marriage, and like you said, you didn't want to shake up the image, the white picket fence image, but that too is a part of depression, right? Trying to show how green the grass is, and having all the things, right? So how did that affect your marriage, and what have you learned from that before we get into the next
Yeah.
chapter of who you are, right?
Depression has shown up many times in my life, and I realize a lot of why it's shown up is when I live a life that's not of my choosing, if that makes sense. So when
Ah.
I let life lead me,
Mm.
and when I don't do it because, it's truly stems from my heart, from what I want, and I feel trapped. That's essentially what it is. When I feel like I don't have a choice, and I recently went through this
Mm.
again.
Mm-hmm.
Luna knows,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because there's something in my life that I know what it is. I know what I need to work on. I know what it is. I'm not ready to fully share that because it's a little sensitive, and it's not time to reveal that, but I will be sharing that when that time
Yeah, it's a
comes.
season
The
you're in.
point
It's
is,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, the point is there's still a situation in my life in where I feel stuck. And it brings me back to depression from time to time, because the truth is that I've done so much inner work and grown and changed so much in the years. And that part of me is old. It's like it's there, it could do it well, but that's not who I am anymore. It's a part of my past that I need to close, and it
Right.
will be closed.
Right.
It's just not the time for many reasons. I have a young daughter. I have to
Exactly.
provide for her. I have to
Exactly.
provide for her, to give her a home, to give her stability, many things, but that time is coming soon. And
Yeah.
that gives me faith in knowing that I'll get through it. But basically, imagine spending 40 plus years of your life depressed and looking for something that you don't know what the frick you're looking for. Essentially, that's what it is.
Mm.
And you can't ask
Lost. Mm-hmm.
anyone around you
Right. For guidance.
what you're looking for, because they're not there. They're not looking for
Exactly.
that. They have accepted the normal life of going to your job from
Mm-hmm.
8 to 5, and a parent means you tell your kids what to do and you do a little homework, and when they graduate, they're going to get a degree. Sure, like we've never spent any time focusing on those kids or developing them or listening to that inner voice. So what I'm trying to say is everything I've been taught, most things that we're taught, are not for your own benefit. It's for you to be able to perform or show up in society and fit in.
That's what I was
And
looking
that's
for.
not what we're
Yeah.
meant to do here.
Yeah.
And most of us follow that. And a lot of people follow that because that's what's accepted. No one's going to judge you as long as you're following that story, but that's not everyone's story. And so, to answer your question, what led me to break away
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
that cycle of not listening to myself was enough deep depression that I really started going within and asking myself questions and wondering, like, when the hell am I going to stop feeling like this? Why is this happening?
Mm.
And what I found through this journey that I've been on since 2018 is I wasn't looking for anything but myself. That,
Ooh. Pause.
thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Just just pausing, because let's integrate. Let's take a breath on that. That was a word. That was something that somebody could note. Let's take a breath. All that she said, the depression, the mirror, expectations, all led to longing for herself. She was longing for her home. And many of you listening, I'm going to interject here, is you're listening because you feel lost. There is some reason you're drawn to this podcast, to this conversation. Even if you're not in the midst of depression, Grace is not saying she's living in the midst of depression. She's saying in moments she goes back to some lower vibrations based on where she is in life. Because, like she said, she's providing for her child. There are certain dreams she's aspiring for, but right now she's also doing some responsible, actions in life, as we all must do. But at the end of the day, the way to start to come out of whatever you feel stuck in is to do whatever it takes to remember who you are, to remember your core. That's what I hear you saying. I hear you saying that you lost touch with yourself a long time ago, being that foreign kid, right? That didn't really fit in, that tried to please your parents. So if you're trying to always please your parents, then please your husband, and then be the good mother, who are you? And so now we're leading into
Exactly.
who you are right now. That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
and you just said something important,
Mm,
like
yeah,
reconnecting to yourself, remembering we are. I don't know if everyone truly understands what that means because, again, I did not even know that was something I was looking for.
exactly.
I didn't know it was something you should look for.
Right.
Wasn't raised in that environment. It was just you graduate from high school, you get good grades, you get a good job, you get a nice house, you get married, you have kids. That's life.
That's it.
Shoot,
And then you
shoot. Knowing
die.
what I know now and what
Right.
I teach my daughter now,
Right.
because she's still young and impressionable. I have a
Right.
son too, and I love both my kids, but he's an adult. What I teach her now is kind of like backwards in the way it really should have been all along. You know, it
Hmm.
starts with you. You are the core of your life. You are the main character.
Ooh,
So you
yeah.
don't know who that main character
Yeah.
is. Do you know what I mean? You don't know who
Yeah.
that main character is, what she wants, he wants, what you stand for. Like, this is the thing. I love when you ask someone, who are you? You will find
What do they
most people don't
say?
know.
They say what they
Most people don't know.
do,
I'm a
right?
manager. I'm a
I'm a
whatever it
mom.
is.
I'm a baker. I am a school bus
Let's think
driver.
about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
But where does that come from? It comes from the idea that that is your identity. No, it's not. It's a title. And most people
Mm.
are holding titles that don't even belong to them. They're just
Ooh.
titles that offer security and comfort, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. We all need security and comfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't, but the thing is, what I told myself is that's not the end. In all honesty, how I feel right now is this is the beginning.
Yeah.
I wish this beginning could have happened at a much younger age, but
It
we
is
live and
what
we
it
learn,
is.
right? We
It
go through
is what it is.
experiences.
Yeah.
I will honestly say a good chunk of my life, there's been a lot of suffering internally, not seen on the
Mm-hmm.
outside. How many times I would tell people that I was feeling this certain way, and people would just be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you have a nice house and you have a husband and you have kids and you have money and travel. So, like, what's the problem? And
Mm.
because that that's not what life is. And I was always searching for what is life? Why are we here? And the more that, like Luna and I have explored this journey, we find ultimately this is the comical part, guys. To me, this is funny and
Tell
not
it.
funny.
Yeah.
Basically, I had to spend those number of years to be little Grace again. Do you know what I mean? Like
I could
all
cry.
the things I had to
That's so
listen to
good.
and go through and find out the
Mm-hmm.
hard way to basically become who I
Yeah.
am. Because who I've always been, and I know Luna can relate, as a child, writing poetry, writing things,
Yeah.
having a deeper message, trying to find a deeper meaning. That's who I am
I was just going
at
to ask
heart.
you, who do you say
Yeah,
you are without the titles? And you're answering it. So we're already flowing with spirit. So, let me
yeah,
ask very clearly before we go into how you awakened, right? Because we have to get there. How did you kind of get out of those cycles? Where are you now? Where was after 2018, kind of what were little steps you took, right? We're going to get there. But
yeah.
who would you say you are now? You touched on the fact that you are a writer. So go back to thinking about all the things you enjoyed as a child and say what you're bringing into the forefront now as your adult self, which is truly who you are. If you don't mind sharing those beautiful creative parts with the audience.
Well, exactly what we're doing here, these deep talks, Luna and I know. We get on a high on this because it's what really matters. These deep talks about life, about who you are, your purpose, and why do you feel the way you feel. For many years, I thought depression meant something bad.
Ah,
And it
yeah,
doesn't. It's literally your inner voice saying, hey, this is not good with us. And I was a master of ignoring that voice, total
absolutely.
master of ignoring it and moving on and succeeding and not succeeding on my definition at that time. It was succeeding. My definition of that's much different, but I had an opportunity to go on, I'm going to say it, I went on a mushroom experience in the
Ooh,
mountains
yeah,
in
say it,
Colombia with
girl.
my
Ain't no
brother.
shame. Ain't no
Okay.
shame. Let's go there.
Okay, so that was mushroom experience number one. Mushroom
Mm-hmm.
experience number one, I shed a lot of deep emotions that I've held in that I didn't realize. It was almost like my heart was releasing pain. And I cried and cried and cried. And I wanted to stop it and I couldn't. Go.
So one
Go ahead.
second before we delve, I
Yeah.
really want to hear this because I heard it a little bit before, but not like this. I just want to say this because I know we're going to be on YouTube and stuff. We're not, condoning that you do everything that we did, but Luna, this right here, me, Luna, and Grace, Solera, we believe in plant medicine because we know how to work with it and we don't abuse it anymore, right? So I just want to say this real quick that if you have never worked with plant medicine, do your research and understand that it's ancestral, it's indigenous, and that it opens up your portals to be able to feel and express and heal if you're willing. If you're not ready, please don't do it. Okay. It's ceremonial. This is not some play thing. So before she gets into it, I just want to say
Thanks
the
for
reason why
saying
it
that.
opened her up is because she was ready. She was tired of the shit. But go ahead. All right.
Yes. No, thanks for saying that.
Yeah,
And again, remember, we're not here to tell you what to do. We're just here to help you remember you. You have the answers.
that's right.
We're not here to give you the answers. That was the first experience, but the second time I did it and the last time I did it, and I don't think I'll ever do it again because it's very intense for me. But I will
Mm-hmm,
tell you
mm-hmm,
this.
mm-hmm.
I met myself. So you asked me, who are you?
What did that look
I
like?
really couldn't answer that for you before this journey,
Right,
right? What were
right.
you going to say?
What did that look like? I really want to know what it looked like when you took
Yeah.
that journey. How did you meet yourself legit? Take us on a little trip, literally.
Yeah. It was like I didn't see me as a physical body. I was an energy. It was
Ooh,
like
okay.
a presence, my essence, who I am. So it was almost like I was witnessing this from the outside, looking into this. So if you had to have an image in your mind of what I saw, it wasn't a person. It was like colors.
Ooh,
It was an energy, a very powerful one that overwhelmed me
yeah.
because what I felt from me, and this I can say this is true now. I'm not sure and this is true for me. My heart is so freaking big that sometimes it gets in my own way. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh,
I have a huge heart. I have so much
feel
love,
that.
compassion for humanity.
Feel that.
I hate injustice or anyone who thinks they're superior to you because that is not a real thing. It's a thing everyone accepted and bought into, which is why we're experiencing what we're experiencing in the world today, is because humanity lost sight of connecting with spirit in their cells. And I've touched on this before. I was never religious. I wasn't looking for spirituality. I wasn't looking for God, Jesus. I was just looking for something I didn't know what it was until I saw it.
Mm.
And it was my spirit, my soul, like what I was saying.
Real
And you can go
quick,
ahead with
great.
your question.
Real quick, Grace, because you touched on God and spirit, and it's super important for some people who hear who, yes, we do believe in the higher intelligence, the power, right? But it looks different for everybody. Did you feel God, goddess? Did you feel spirit within that moment? With intertwined with who you saw yourself as? Because I believe God is within and without.
I saw
Did you
that I
feel
had
it?
no idea who I really was. It
Okay.
was like, oh my God, that's who you are, and that's what you want to do. And me, human self, only knows like a small percentage of her
Right.
now. Because
Right.
honestly, guys, I mean, our souls don't die. We're infinite. We're
Right.
infinite.
Right.
So I'm just discovering a small, tiny fraction of who I am,
Right.
in that
Right.
moment.
Mm-hmm.
And when I realized that, I had emotional tears because I said, wow, my soul's so freaking beautiful. And like, no wonder I let others lead me and all those things because I had such a pure heart and innocence and really good intention. And now, you know, I'm very firm. And if someone tries to tell me how to do things, I stop it fast because unless I ask you, I don't want to know your take unless you've been on the journey I've been in.
That's right.
Because,
If you have
only I
wisdom,
can know. Yeah,
exactly.
only I can know what's best for me. People can give opinions, but here's the thing though. There's a lot of people, and again, I said women experience this a lot. They feel powerless and you don't have a voice and you have to do this and your mom said this and all this baggage we carry. Let me tell you something. What Luna and I have been on for the past years has been shedding everything that was told to us that doesn't serve us, that doesn't stem from truth or from
Mm,
spirit. And that
mm.
alone, guys, I can talk about it in 2 minutes, but you'll never know or feel what I went through. The loneliness of being alone, because when I divorced, I didn't just divorce my ex-husband, I divorced most of my
Whole
family
family. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I wanted to find who I am without the influence of others because I've seen and heard enough. So, one of the reasons I'm personally doing this podcast is because I've seen and heard enough of what people are doing, harming themselves, focusing on things that actually don't matter in this life, and through the pain and suffering, and realizing that actually I do have a voice and my vision is not like most people's. And I want to accept that. At that moment, I knew I need to share this with people because I know there's a lot of people going through the life I lived most of my life and they're still in it and pondering maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a better way and they're not sure how. I want you to know there freaking is. But you got to trust yourself.
Trust your inner voice. Yeah, I'm feeling emotional listening because I know your story, but I don't know your story. That's why I love being on this side, being able to listen. I see your strength now and as a child. Because guys, to go through that kind of pain and to live that long that way, it took some strength. And also it took another layer of strength to see that those ways weren't serving her. And what it comes down to is choice, right? You made
Right.
a choice. In life, we have choices. I know this may bring a charge into some people's hearts. We're not victims. You may feel like a victim in your situation. You might feel stuck. You might
Far
you might
from
be in
victims.
poverty.
Yeah.
You might be in different situations that really feel real. I am not disengaging from that or not holding space for that, but I'm saying there's a choice. And your choices and your words and your thoughts do create your reality. And if Grace chose to stay the good girl, serving everyone but herself, giving everyone the medicine but herself, where would she be now? Just think about that.
You know how I truly felt for leading up to the divorce? I told myself, I'm just going to keep being there for everyone, but I'm probably going to die because I'm so unhappy inside. Like, think about that.
Mm,
That was a story I told myself for many years until, if I'm honest, my
be
daughter told
honest.
me it's time. My daughter said it's time. I see you're very unhappy, you know? And I think I almost needed to hear that from her to feel okay with doing the risk. And let me tell you something, guys. When I talk about divorce, this was not a clean slate. It was very dramatic. It was very quick, and I had a choice to make um, about my living situation because it got so
Mm-hmm.
toxic.
Tell us what you can without giving everything away that you don't want to give.
Yeah, like I said, it was fast. It wasn't like I really had like a lot of time to think about it. And my parents offered to stay there, and that I refused to do that at that time because I knew I was growing and exploring my spirituality and remembering who I am and going back to an environment that sort of didn't serve me
This is
in a sense,
toxic.
if you get what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's not the answer. It was almost like a friend of mine told me something like a rubber band being pulled back to the
Mm.
furthest I can go. And I just, boom,
It's
everything just happened.
snap.
Meaning, in 2 days, I found my apartment. I bought brand new furniture, new dishes, new everything. I needed to have stability for my daughter, but I did it fast. And when I moved out on my own, the goal was to discover me. And that's literally what I've been doing for years. How did I do that?
Yeah, let's go there.
Through being alone with myself, through reading books, through prayer, through crying, through, oh, I like this one, guys. This is actually one of my favorites. Facing my freaking fears. I went on a whole binge of I'm just going to face it all because I needed to decide, am I not doing this because I'm scared or I'm not doing it because I don't want to do it?
What did you do?
That
Give
was
us
very
some
important to me.
examples. I know what you're
Yeah,
talking
it was very
about, but I
important
want
to
them to
me.
know.
Yeah. Well, mushrooms in the mountains in Colombia is an example.
Hey.
Going by myself to Costa Rica, never
Mm-hmm.
being alone in my life because I was always surrounded by family or my husband or my kids. Someone was always in my space.
Mm.
And a couple months after the divorce, I decided I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica. My soul's been calling me there. I'm just going to go and do it. And I remember waking up in Costa Rica on my birthday, waking up like I'm in a different country. I'm not married anymore. My kids aren't here. My family's not here. There's no one here to celebrate me. And not in a sad way. It was just like, this is
A
new.
reality,
But at
yeah.
the same time, it was scary. Yeah, it was still scary because I'm like, I'm not, what am I supposed to do with my time? Like, this is like kind of being reborn. It really,
It
really
really
is
was.
what it was,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so I went horseback riding on the mountains. I went to the hot springs, near the volcano in La Fortuna, Costa Rica. And then I went to a drag queen show. And
Ooh, I
then,
love it.
when I, yeah, and that was just one small example, but hand gliding in Colombia, jumping
Ooh,
off cliffs in Philippines, all things I was terrified of doing. But
literally
I will
facing
tell you this,
fears.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more you face your fears, and I'm facing a fear right now just by talking.
Yeah. I know.
The more you face your fears, you know what I mean? The more you face your fears, the more you learn about your limits, about who you are, what you want, what you don't. Why are you scared of it? If you're scared of something, why? That kind of
That's so
thing. And I
good.
remember, yeah, and I remember my boss said, "What's wrong with you? You have kids, you're gonna risk your life." And I'd rather do those things than to never face my fears and live a boring white picket fence
That
life.
part. That.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm just trying to envision all that you did. And I want to bring it back to the audience's reality, right? This is what Grace did. You may not, maybe you're not in the place to go to Costa Rica or to go to the hills and horse ride or to do these bigger adventures, which I do hope all of us get to experience. And there's so many on my bucket list as well. But what can you face that dares you to be different, that dares you to do what's uncomfortable? Like she said, speaking now, putting her writings out in public, really being who Grace is at the core. That's the truest fear, right? So what is it for you guys? Is it going down to an unfamiliar coffee shop half an hour away or an hour away and just taking a solo day trip? Like, it could be local. But the point is, get out of your comfort zone. Don't always get with the same friends. Go out and ask yourself what you really enjoy and go meet people that night that you may not never talk to again, but you may have great experiences and open up your heart to learning something about humanity, or eat something different. You may hate it, but you'll know you hate it, right? Staying in that same mundane routine, the same coffee, the same foods. We love a routine, we love rituals, but I feel like switching it up is really a step towards facing fears, or a step towards becoming, which is really remembering. When I say becoming, it's really remembering.
Freedom.
As a child,
Freedom.
we would try more things. We were more liberated. We didn't give a crap if we jumped around in the mud
Right.
or the rain or bruised our knee trying some daring trick on a skateboard, even if we couldn't skateboard. I did it. I got a scar on my knee still from trying to skate. I never skated a day in my life, but as a kid, I was fearless, right? And over the years, we get conditioned to be fearful. We get conditioned to be codependent, right? It wasn't like she was always this way. So she's remembering. She's remembering. And I hope that empowers who's listening, that it all begins with sometimes being fed up. Usually it's being fed up, like that rubber band being stretched too thin, to where either you pop and it becomes a narrative and a victimized story, or you pop and it catapults you into a new beginning. There's two choices.
Yeah. I
That's what
love
I
that you
see,
said,
right?
that's what Grace did. Because it doesn't mean you have to jump off cliffs and things like that. But facing our fears, like Luna said, is
Yeah.
taking us out of the comfort zone. The comfort zone keeps you very safe, like a nice warm blanket,
Too
but
safe.
that's as far as you're going to get.
Ooh, yeah.
And so when we look at, and we've talked about this before, when we look at all these people doing it doing it in life, they had to face some fears.
And
And
rejection too, right? Yeah.
right, rejection, fear, not being perfect. I'm sure I'm gonna look back at this video and say, oh my God, I forgot to say this and I forgot to say that. Because at the end of the day, guys, we speak from the heart. I could have scripted everything and shared this message
Mm-hmm.
exactly the way that you needed to, but I'm not here to perform. I'm
That's
here to
right.
share wisdom that I learned through many years of suffering
Mm.
and sharing it because I don't want others to go through that long route. In fact, it's why I empower my daughter and raise her very differently than I raised my son. I raised my son very well, like with
Yeah.
the principles that I learned
I get
as a
it.
young child. When I awakened, my parenting style shifted
Yeah.
because I learned and I wanted to share those lessons with her. So essentially that's why we do this podcast is not to tell you what to do. It's to remind you that there is a you and that there are people all around you who will always give you an opinion, who can judge, who can tell you what you should or shouldn't do,
Absolutely.
but you need to listen to you, to remember who you are, to reconnect with who you are.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah.
care what that means in your world,
Yeah.
whatever brings you joy and brings others joy. If anyone's getting in the way of that, you better break through that wall.
That was good. Girl, you know, when a spirit download comes, I get a little hot. Plus, you know, I'm 44, so hormones. But real talk, I just want to like backtrack before we get off this podcast. I want to say that was good advice. I feel like people need to hear that message more about having choices, right? Wrapping it up, having choices. You're not stuck. You are the narrator in end of your story. And guess what? There's always room to flip the page or erase, redo something over, make a different choice. You could change every hour of the day. We do. We always talk about how we change and shift minute by minute. So we have to like talk a lot through the day or catch up next week and be like, girl, so much happened in the last 2 days. You know, you're always
It's like
evolving
years
and
went by.
shifting. When you're living in this new awakened reality, you are always shifting, changing, and evolving without freaking apology. There's nothing to apologize for. The only thing that I would be sorry for is to have you not hear this message and get the medicine from it. Because let me tell you this. I'm looking in the camera right now. I'm into this world alone. You leave alone. So at the end of this day, do what makes sense to you. Do what lights you up. Follow that light. Follow that inner voice. We know that only because we've lived like through the suffering. We have many lived experiences and we're sharing it with you in hopes that you don't have to take so many different crazy turns. You have your own journey, but you can make more choices. You will have dark nights of the soul, but hearing this, now you know you have choices. You can flip the script and you don't have to stay stuck. Um, the pain can become your greatest blessing. It can become something you alchemize, right? And I always talk about alchemy. It's who I believe Grace and I are. We're alchemists, and that just means that we turn shit into gold. You go ahead and give us a pile of shit and see what
I
happens
relate
with
to
it.
that.
See what happens with that, right? That's just
That's
what
what
we
it
do.
is.
It's just what we
Yeah.
do, girl. I love this. I thank you for sharing, and I want you to end with, hopefully, if you don't mind, a little bit of like soul encouragement, soul work. What can you tell someone who might be in a similar situation or who may be seeking for outside external answers? What can they do right now to begin to shift how they think and maybe become unstuck?
I'd say don't jump to the how because that's what gets us stuck. Not like how am I going to get out? What
Right.
does that look like? How am I going to get help? I can't afford to live on my own. Um, whatever the blockage is, like don't go that far because my mind goes that far. It's like how? Oh, I don't know how, so I'm going to stay
Mm-hmm.
here. Focus on your why.
Mm.
Our message today, my message today, this is my why. Why am I willing to put myself out here and tell my personal business when most of my life I was very private? I was so private that when I was a kid, I was like, I'm so private because one day I'm going to be like on the government or something and I don't want to have a flawed file. Okay.
Sorry,
And
girl.
we're out here putting ourselves out there for you.
With AI and everything. Yeah.
There's another way. Yeah.
Go ahead,
You
girl.
get what I'm saying? So I
Yes.
don't have a filter anymore. I just live my life, and if someone doesn't
Mhm.
approve of
My
it,
daughter always says, "Don't do that," but
I love
clock that.
you. Great.
Clock that. I hope my daughter
I love
hears this.
you.
She's probably gonna say it's
You
so
asked some really
cringy.
great questions.
Thank you. That was so good. I feel like I just know you more now, and I'm like, guys, I don't go for the other team, but it's sexy. It kind of turns me on to hear her story because I'm like, ooh, she was so raw and vulnerable. It turns my soul on. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff that turns my soul on, and hopefully you guys were turned on in your soul too to action, to doing something different. Take some notes and put some comments, on the YouTube when it goes live. And speaking of that, you can find us at I always do this, but
I love it.
one day I'm gonna have the perfect memory. Just make sure I get it right. I'm gonna go to our Instagram. I think I have it, but I just want to make sure. But you can find us on Instagram. Yes. It's the unfolding underscore, okay, podcast underscore 777. The unfolding underscore podcast underscore 777. You can find us at the unfolding podcast. I think it's 777 as well on YouTube. And you can find the link in our Instagram. We're going to be spreading to other platforms soon, so look out for that. But drop comments, don't just scroll by. Let us know what resonated and what you went through in your life that was similar to Grace. Let her know because it encourages us to keep going. And who knows? Maybe there'll be more to the story. Maybe I'll come with my story next. We kind of flow with the flow. We go with the flow. But let us know how you thought, and also let us know um, on our Instagram. Go follow the Instagram page. We do so much more on there. This is where we write our quotes and we share all that's happening in our air and water brains. These are our signs. And we share it with the world. We use our platform
Yeah.
to enlighten others and to lift them up. So I hope you guys were encouraged, challenged, and charged in your heart to not live by other expectations and to go within and start there. And I love you guys. You have anything else to say? Yeah.
And
Yeah.
connection. Essentially, it's
It's
connection.
connection. That's what
Connection
it
for
is.
other people
Yeah.
on the journey.
Yeah.
So
So
thank you all.
till next time,
Mwah.
peace
We
out.
appreciate you.
Mwah. Adios.